What's up guys, SkittleRampage here. So today we have a One Piece real versus fake Funko Pop tutorial for Brook, Law, and Shanks. So let's check it out. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're having a nice weekend so far. So today we have another new real versus fake. This one has been heavily requested from you guys. Now, as mentioned, we do have 3 Funko Pops that are heavily faked in the One Piece set that we're going to be going over today. And again, that is Brook from NYCC, as well as Trafalgar Law, another pretty big grail in the set, and Shanks, the Big Apple Collectibles exclusive. Now, before we continue, we do have our question of the day for today's video, and that is, have you ever purchased a fake Funko Pop on accident, or have you ever purchased a Funko Pop you were unsure if it was fake or real? Let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, so I want to give you some general tips before we go over the comparison as to how you can avoid buying fake Funko Pops on accident. So, let's use Trafalgar Law here, for example. About a $400 Funko Pop, maybe almost $500 by now. The point is, it's a very expensive grail in the One Piece set that a lot of people are actively looking for. Now, over on eBay, this is where a lot of the fakes thrive because a lot of them come in from China. And if you see a $30 listing like this one, or anywhere from the $30 to $50 range, you're going to want to steer clear, especially if it says it's coming directly from China. Because while a lot of the merchandise that we consume here over the United States does in fact come from China, that doesn't mean all of it is authentic. And this is where you run into a lot of the fakes being sold. I do believe eBay, again, is the biggest marketplace for fake Funko Pops. Now, another tip I can give you as to when you are searching for these specific Pops is that I would avoid people that have next to no reviews on their page, or if they're a new seller altogether. Another really good tip is if you're buying from someone from like a Facebook group, for example, make sure that they take the photo with a physical timestamp, not one placed in the photo, not one placed on a computer screen or on their phone. Hand write out that timestamp with their name and date so you know that they actually have the Funko Pop, because all the time people will literally steal photos from eBay, Mercari, wherever, and send you those photos showing you an authentic Pop, and then they'll either take your money or they'll send you a fake one. Now, if you don't happen to have PayPal, I do believe Venmo is also an alternative because they do now also have a goods and services service there. So now that you have a couple tips as to how to avoid fake listings, now let's compare the Funko Pops so you know what to look for in those listings. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and start off with Brook. However, what I want to do first is ask you guys a question. Let me know down below in the comments which one of these is the real box for the Brook Funko Pop. Oh, and by the way, I do want to say a big thank you to 2 of my subscribers. One of them sent me over the fake Brook, and the other one sent me a real Brook a while back, so that's why I have both of these today to be able to do this for you guys. Alright guys, so I put the Pops back in their boxes, and drum rolled. I'm trying not to shake the camera, sorry. But this one on the left was in fact the fake, and it's really easy to tell with the Pop in there now. So, I'm going to go over the box first and what you should look out for on these Brook fake boxes, as well as I'm also going to be going over the figure shortly after. So usually with fake Funko Pop boxes, you can kind of tell, especially when you have them in hand, that the overall box is going to be a different quality than your typical Funko Pop box, as well as a lot of the colors are going to be off. Now, what I mean by lower quality, take a look at the Brook face there, especially the teeth there. You can kind of see that it looks a little grainy, versus the real one there looks a little cleaner with that 2D art. Now, usually on Funko Pop fakes, especially for the animation line, a big tell is always the M in animation. It will actually be a slightly different font. And here's a close-up photo of the word animation on both. You can tell on the fake one there that the M is definitely a different font. Now, something else I noticed on both of these was the little curve right here. You can tell it's a little more rounded here versus more straight. I don't know if this is the case on every single Brook box because they could all be cut differently, but I figured it was worth pointing out just in case. One more thing to point out on the front here is the fall convention sticker. You will notice that this one actually does have like a darker blue color in the background there, and the text is slightly different as well. It's not as kind of like thick or bolded, And you will notice that this sticker actually appears to be just slightly bigger than the real one. Now on the side here, if you look at the number 358, you can definitely tell that this is a different font for sure, and it's almost longer versus this one being shorter and more bold. Now on the back of the box here, guys, you can see a lot more color differences. As you can see on this one, this is kind of like a darker print here, and you can even tell that the black outline around the characters is definitely more prominent versus the real one. Now you are going to see a lot of color differences on fake boxes. However, something I've noticed with the One Piece ones is the Toei Animation logo. Usually on the fake ones tends to be a darker red versus a lighter kind of like orange on the real one. And here's kind of a close-up of both of these. As you can see, that is not as dark as this one. Now moving on to the bottom of the box here, guys, a lot of the shared Brooks do in fact have this Hot Topic barcode sticker on it, and that usually tells you that that pop is in fact authentic. However, sometimes those have been ripped off over the years or they fall off, so not every single Brook out there is going to have that. That's just an easy tell, just so you guys know. Now, funny enough, they even went as far as to put the date stamp on these Brooks, which is 2018 essentially, and you can definitely tell that is slightly different. This one is a brighter white versus this one being a darker white. Now, something I like to mention as a general rule on these fake boxes is that a lot of the text you will notice is in fact not bolded. You can definitely see here on this bottom line where it's bolded, and this is not. You can see in the little warning label of 0 to 3 years old that you shouldn't give these to your kids essentially, is that the little face or little baby, I guess that's supposed to be a baby, also looks kind of like a chicken, I don't know. But anyways, you can see it's bolded there, but it is in fact not bolded on the fake. Okay, so one more thing I want to show you guys, and you are looking at the real Brook right now, is this word here, Evertens, I think that's how you say that. But anyways, more importantly, as you can see, it says AVVERTENZA exclamation point. However, if you look on the fake one, it does actually say AWERTENZA exclamation point. The difference on the fake is that it actually has a W rather than 2 V's there. And that's just kind of something I noticed while going over every single word. Now, granted, I do want to let you guys know that that is not the case on every single anime fake pops. I noticed on the Ichigo, that is heavily faked as well in the Bleach line, that they actually did put 2 V's versus a W. This is something that I noticed on some of these One Piece pops that we're showcasing in today's video though. But don't really see it as a way to heavy determine that your pop is fake. Now, in my opinion, I think out of box is the easiest way to tell about this Brook. You can already tell on the crown there that this one actually has smaller inner circles versus the real one having bigger inner circles, if you see that side by side. And on the glasses, a huge tell here, where on the fake one, they're actually purple versus being a red violet on the real one. And honestly, a big tell is the face. Look at the kind of like detail overall, to be honest. You can tell this is much more white than the actual kind of like skeleton color they gave Brook. And then you can even see some of the details aren't as noticeable, like the crack in his face there. Now, 2 more big things that I noticed on Brook was the pants here. They're more orange on the real one, and they are definitely pink on the fake one there. And honestly, you're gonna see a lot of color differences on the fakes, of course. And then you can even tell with the guitar too, that one, it does have some paint flaws with that green, but as you can tell, it is like a glossier, lighter green versus this one being a darker green and not as glossy. Now, if you were to turn your Brook upside down here, you can tell on the fake that he does have a longer neck versus on the real one, not as long. You can't see as much. And even on this blue portion here, if you look at the red painted on the real one, it is not there on the fake one. I don't know if that's just mine, to be honest, but something else to look out for. Now, something else I figured I'd point out here on the back of Brook's guitar here, you can tell that the teeth are actually painted white, where on the real one, they're not painted at all. I don't know if that's every single one or maybe mine's defective, but again, something else to point out. Now, again, guys, I could sit here and go over every single minute little color difference. However, I think you get the point by now. Lots of differences, especially when you get it out of box. But of course, I know that usually you're not buying these big Grails out of box, you're buying them with the box. The best thing you can really do there is to compare the photos to the eBay listings, Mercari listings, or wherever you're buying this pop from, to a real one like you have, for example, in my video here. Now, our next one here is Trafalgar Law, another pretty faked one in the One Piece collection here. So, left is the real one, right is the fake one. You can already tell right off the bat with the box that this one is actually a thicker border. Now, something else I do want to mention as well is that I do actually have an older fake of Trafalgar Law. I'm sure the newer one is probably a little bit different, but I figured this one is still good to use just in case people end up buying this fake one on accident. Now, the same thing with Brook. This one does actually have a much lower quality once you see it in person, and you can even tell kind of up close that the 2DR is much nicer here versus this one, again, is grainy and blurry. And obviously the colors are significantly off on the fake one. And of course, the same thing does apply with that M in animation. It is a different font. Now we're just going to go ahead and jump to the back here, because one of the biggest tells on the fake Trafalgar Laws is the fact that it does not have this Funimation print on the background. It is actually just a black bar down there. So again, huge tell on those fakes. Now for the bottom of the box here on the fake one, this one does in fact not have the 2016 date stamp. That's not always going to be the case though, because usually fakes do have the date stamped either printed on the box or with these little stickers. Now that I've taken them out of box, can you tell which one's the real one and which one's the fake one? I mean, there's so much quality issues on the fake one, it's not even funny. Look at the eyebrows, they're much smaller. Even the face is a little derpy looking. This one is kind of like, it's barely even detailed on his goatee there. On the printing of the hat, you can tell that it's a completely different pattern than the real one, as well as his hat does appear to be a little bit wider and bigger versus this one being slightly smaller. And you can tell that this one's also pretty glossy too with that black paint. Also, not to mention that this is black and this is brown. Another pretty noticeable detail is his sideburns there are actually bigger on the real one and smaller on the fake one. And even the earrings are much bigger on this one versus the fake. Something else that I noticed, that this little logo here is actually on the back of his arm on the real one, and on the fake one, they actually printed it on the front. Now again, I can sit here and go over every single little difference, but I think you definitely get the point with Law here. This one is just super duper fake looking. But again, like I mentioned before, I do actually have one of the earlier, older fake Laws. In the newer ones, it's very possible they fix some of these details and it looks a little closer, but again, you can just apply the same method and tips that I'm giving you in this video to those fakes to tell if it's real or fake. Now, the last one we have to go over is Shanks here, and I actually do have a funny story about this. So I ordered this one on eBay to do for this video. Basically, I spent like maybe almost 35 bucks or something like that on this fake pop from China, and funny enough, I ordered the chase version of this because the one I actually had in my collection was signed by the voice actor. And I was like, well, I might as well do the chase because the chase is the more rare one that a lot of people are after. And they sent me the wrong fake. You're already sending me a fake pop and then you sent me the wrong fake. So yeah, guys, unfortunately I don't have a Chase Shanks to show off today, but at least we have the regular one. So let's go ahead and give Shanks a look here. You can already tell in the fake that the box print is much darker, and surprisingly enough, the border is actually smaller this time around versus the regular one being thicker. Now, usually with the names, it's a little hard to tell that the fonts are slightly different, but on the fake one, it is actually slightly thicker versus the real one being a little bit thinner. Now again, something else to point out, that animation text, it's actually thicker on the fake one versus a little bit thinner on the real one. Surprisingly, it's not just the M, the whole word animation does actually seem to be a different font. Now again, just like I mentioned with Brook, with some of these newer pops that have that Toei animation logo, this one is darker versus this one being lighter. Something else I noticed was the text on the back of the map there is actually a little bit lighter versus this one being slightly darker. Now looking at the bottoms here, again, as I mentioned with Brook as well, you do have that text there where it does actually showcase a W versus two V's. And here's the real Shanks for reference. It does have the AVV versus AW. Now I will say the bottom of the box here is actually really good, other than, you know, some of the color differences and the bolding differences. It even has the date in the same place. They did a really good job with this Shanks fake. Okay guys, here they are both out of box. Which one's real and which one is fake? I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ding, ding, ding. This one is the fake on the right here. You can also kind of tell that his head's a little broken. Now again, you are noticing that color difference, especially in the skin tone there. He has a darker skin tone versus lighter here. Now something significant I noticed on the fake was his fingers here on the hilt. You can kind of tell that they're not fully covering the hilt versus on the real one, they covered a lot more. Another thing you can tell is his, I don't really know what to call that, but where the sword is being held, you can tell this is a darker red versus this one being kind of a lighter. So if you go ahead and take a look at Shanks's hair here, outside of the noticeable color difference where this one's a little darker, you can tell on the strand of hair here, it actually lifts up slightly. Again, this could just be a molding issue on this fake one, and the other ones could be a little better, but something to point out that you can kind of see a shadow casted under versus this one is completely flat on the real one. Now, unfortunately, on the bottom of the foot, this one is the real, this one is a fake, by the way, is that they're pretty similar, to be honest. Even the fonts are pretty close. I would say on the real one, it does look like the DRM number there is a little bit like a less of a thick text versus the real one. I don't know, that's just my opinion though. But you can definitely tell the color difference, at least in his sandals. Well guys, this has been another real versus fake tutorial. I do hope this video was helpful to you. And if it was, please do leave a like down below on this video and leave a comment if you did enjoy. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and end off this video by saying a big shout out to all the wonderful Patreon supporters of the channel. You guys rock for supporting myself and the channel. If you guys are interested and want to check it out, we do have a Patreon-only Discord where we share a lot of information, news, restocks, updates, links, and more. And finally, make sure to be following me on all my social medias at SkittleRampage over on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and my Facebook page so you can stay up to date. Alright, love you guys. See you guys in the next one. See you guys later. Bye.